I'm Marley Silva and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's finally warming up in here. I have the fireplace on because it is literally 7 degrees. Oh my gosh, 7 degrees and I'm in a tank top, you guys. I literally was driving home this morning and I was wearing biker shorts and a tank top and it was 4 degrees. And I went and got a venti iced blonde latte. So I don't know. I felt really refreshed though. Like I didn't feel cold. It was kind of like when you go for a cold plunge and then you feel warm after. I don't know. That's how I was feeling. Are we recording? We're recording. So in this video, I want to title it, Can You Rebuild Yourself After You're Broken? So, ooh, this is such a heavy topic. So can you rebuild yourself after you're broken? So this can fit into so many sections, and obviously I'll use myself as an example because I am the mouthpiece for my channel. I am the identity of the channel. I share my experience in my life in a way to connect with you guys on a level that whether you share the same situation or you can understand a part of the situation and relate to it, that is like kind of the whole point of my channel, is to teach and to learn and to grow with you guys and to connect with really beautiful, amazing people. But the first thing that jumps into my brain when I think of rebuilding myself after I was broken was when I graduated high school. I had my very first boyfriend, my first love, first virginity, TMI. I already know how I'm going to edit that. TMI. And we were together. And I had, you know, family dynamics at the time. I just turned 18. And at the time that I was literally getting ready to go to my first year of university, he left a box on my doorstep and left. The same day, that afternoon after he had dropped it off, my mom had a seizure outside of the bank. My dad was like holding her to the ground. I called him. He's like, I don't know what you want me to do. We're not together anymore. So, I mean, I think that is enough to break a person. I then at that point when my mom was in the hospital, was living in her house, literally alone as a kid, you know? So, and then I had just processed the end of a breakup. I was going through identity issues at the time. And it broke me. Like I was going from having a life that I thought I was going to have forever to not having my mom, not having someone I could call because they didn't care about me anymore. Like flipped a switch, and it broke me. And when I rebuilt myself after that, I bussed every single day to university. I continued to finish and to do my schooling. I, you know, continued to push and to push and to push. And after that chapter had closed and things had settled with my mom and with my dad as well, is when I had moved back home for a small period of time, and then I ended up getting my own apartment. So, and that's rebuilding again. Like, you know, when I was kicked out, my entire world broke. Everything that I had help-wise broke. And I had to completely rebuild a brand new life on my own. And those are just small examples of rebuilding yourself after you've broken. You know, sobriety. When I decided that I was going to stop doing certain things, I had to rebuild a part of my brain and a part of my life to not include certain friends, certain people, certain experiences, certain environments, because I was choosing a life of difference. I had already gone through that chapter. It had already broken me. Well, it didn't break me, but it was, if I would have continued on, it would have broken me. And I had to rebuild and start my 20s off in, you know, a more productive way. And I think the best example, before I get into like a few of the points that I have here, and this is the last and final example that I'll be sharing, is when my last ex left. And I think that this is something that I love talking about because I have learned so much and I've grown so much as a person since this experience. And, you know, we were living together. Everything was kosher. And one day in March, he left me completely left me, gone. And, you know, when you're betrayed and blindsided and completely, like, those are the two words that really stick out to me, as blindsided and betrayed, because we had so many conversations about, like, you know, his career and what we were going to do when it happened. And, you know, I was always told it's going to be difficult, but we'll make it work. And when he left me, and we never had that conversation, we never discussed it as a unionship or a partnership, he just left and made a decision on his own. You know, I was broken. I felt broken from the life that I thought I was going to have. I was in a month and a half away of re-signing a lease all by myself, a whole stream of income gone, someone that I loved, cherished, and cared about so much. You know, the little things, going to bed together every night, getting up in the morning, planning days off, you know, having breakfast, grocery shops, like my entire world broke. And I had to choose to re-sign a lease and build myself up brick by brick. And the first summer was the best and the hardest. I'll never forget it, because I'm going to take the watch off because it's really hurting my wrist. I had to literally rebuild my entire perception of my life, what I thought it was going to be, and what it could be. And, you know, a year and a half later, I proved to myself that I can do everything alone. I'm way more independent than I give myself credit for. I am an extremely hard worker. I'm an extremely passionate and loving person. And, you know, I've proved myself wrong in so many different ways that I didn't think I could. You know, like, when you have stability ripped from under you, and you not only go through heartbreak, but you go through betrayal, it breaks you to a certain degree. And, you know, I didn't want any man in my life in that capacity. And I still don't know if I do in that capacity since, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, you view things so differently. And now that I have been alone and I've been doing it by myself, and I've proved to myself that I don't need help and I can do everything alone, you know, rebuilding has been the biggest blessing and the biggest gift, because the things that I would have tolerated a year and a half ago, the things that I thought that I couldn't do, that I would never be able to accomplish, all of that is shifted. It's completely different. And the first point in can you rebuild yourself after you're broken is, are you humble enough? So I put this point in here because I think a lot of the decisions in our life and a lot of the ways that shape how we view ourselves, how society views us, and how others view us is ego. And, you know, it takes a lot of, you have to be extremely humble, and it takes a lot of humility to pick yourself up and lay each brick one by one, and, you know, understand that, like, it had to happen for a reason, and that you can't just give up and throw in the towel. Like, I could have easily moved home and, you know, took the easy way out, but I had to really humble myself and understand that, like, this is happening for a reason. I prayed for certain things in my life, and this was God's way of showing me, okay, you want to be independent? Here you go. You want to be successful? You have to be alone. You want to be inspired again and feel like the most beautiful version of you? That's going to take a lot of alone time. It's going to take a lot of introspection. It's going to take a lot of isolation and learning and growing and thinking and being like, Marley, what do you like? What do you not like? What are you willing to tolerate? What are you not willing to tolerate? What are you even looking for? You know, that takes a lot of time alone. It takes a lot of reflection, and it takes a lot of, like, time without distractions. And, you know, I continue to humble myself years and like every year that goes by, I think I become more humble. But in my older age, I also I have more discernment, and I have more capacity to understand my own standards and what I want and what I don't want. You know, I've become malleable in certain facets, especially with like ego death and becoming more humble. But I also become more tight-lipped with like, I'm not going to tolerate this. I'm not going to put up with this. You know, in order to rebuild myself, I have to have the standards that I've always known I've had since I was a kid and stick to them. Not allow people to walk all over me. Not allow myself to bend and twist in ways where I know that it's just going to hurt me. And the last point was, is your ego dead? So rebuilding yourself takes so much out of you, and it takes so much strength. And you know, when you think of people that have been married for so long and then they get divorced and there's a whole new chapter, or you know, when a best friend completely fucks you over and breaks your heart, or family members die or pass away, like a certain part of you has to build a scab over that wound and force yourself to heal it, and to take every single day and every single measure to go through the healing process to rebuild a part of yourself that you thought or hadn't expected to change. And it's so beautiful because, you know, using the injury as an example, right? Like I sprained my wrist. Am I going to be able to put it as far back as this one? No, because it has to take time to heal so that it can move in those ways and it can bend again. That's part of the healing journey, is being injured and then rehabbing yourself to a point where you're better. And I think that rebuilding yourself after immense pain is so beautiful because you become stronger, and it gives you more grit and more grace, and you look at the world in a way, you look at the world through your own lens again, and not through a lens of what could be or what you thought it would be, but of what it really is. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to make this video because I was thinking about the topic and I was like, this is something that I'm really passionate about and that I want to talk about and share my experience, and hopefully it helps someone else out there. I love you guys a lot. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Bye guys.